Anyway, on to a more serious note. A couple days ago, there was a big report that was released. A pretty hefty investigation went into the National Women's Soccer League. I think this is, if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure I read this somewhere. This is the third time they have tried a professional women's soccer league in America. The other two times, the league only lasted three years. Um, and I think NWSL has been around for more than that, but I'm not sure how long. I should probably look it up. So, see, you look it up. You ain't doing nothing. Because I remember watching some like women's soccer matches like 5 years ago, but
I
I'm
think it's
pretty
been around at least for like 8 years or something.
Wow, 2012.
okay, 10 years. Wow.
10, yeah.
Um, but yeah, there was a big investigation that went into the systematic abuse in the NWSL. The report is crazy. It's really long. It's extremely detailed. Sally Yates went when I seen that name, I was like, damn, I remember Sally Yates. She was all up in the government, but she conducted it, I'm sure, with help. I want to read some of the things from this Axios article. They kind of put it like they broke things down a little bit. It says the report details numerous instances of abuse across the league, vicious coaching tactics, manipulation that was about power, not improving performance, and a repeated failure by team executives and the league to respond to reports of abuse. Shameful. The report states that our investigation has revealed a league in which abuse and misconduct, verbal and emotional abuse, and sexual misconduct had become systematic, spanning multiple teams, coaches, and victims. It says abuse in the NWSL is rooted in a deeper culture in women's soccer, beginning in youth leagues that normalizes verbally abusive coaching and blurs boundaries between coaches and players. I remember we reported on remember Vancouver White, or it was like Canadian soccer.
It was the Whitecaps, yeah.
Yeah, that was a couple of years ago, and that one was pretty crazy too. Um, Among the gruesome findings, the report detailed a previously undisclosed encounter between then NWSL player Aaron Simon and Christy Holly, the male former head coach for Racing Louisville FC in 2021. Trigger warning. Per the report, it says she knew what to expect. When she arrived, she recalls Holly opened his laptop and began the game film. The coach told Aaron Simon, that he was going to touch her for every bad pass. And he did that. And Simon reports that he pushed his hands down her pants and up her shirt. When the video ended, she left. And when her teammate picked her up to drive home, Simon broke down crying.
Oh my God.
Yeah. The report comes a year after NWSL players began speaking about cases of harassment and abuse, often in the hands of male coaches. Some games got canceled, the league's commissioner stepped down, multiple coaches have been fired, and then some players have refused to take the field. And yeah, the full report was, like I said, was very detailed. And sadly, I mean, just on We Made It, like we've talked about different instances, Canada, Haiti, all over the world, including here in America. I remember, I want to say this was 2017. When was that, when Hope Solo was running for USSF president? I feel like that was the first year of the podcast.
I think so. Yeah.
She was running for USSF president, and I remember she was doing some press at the time, and she talked about when she was hosting at the Ballon d'Or, and she said, I think it was like before she went on stage, it was like backstage, she said that Sepp Blatter grabbed her ass. And like, I remember like when that article was out, like anytime it was like on Twitter or like Facebook or something like that, you have like all these dudes like saying terrible things. It wasn't taken serious. like I feel like the the TV media and stuff like did not talk about it. And when she said that, she said like that stuff happens all the time in women's soccer. Like she's like she said I can't remember verbatim, but she was saying like she was basically saying like every player I know has been like sexually abused in some way by a coach or like some guy, staff or whatever. And I'm glad that it's finally getting more light shed on it. But yeah, it's been a big problem for a long time.
Yeah, I don't think it's right when women in the space, especially in a lot of these professional spaces, come out and say that they've been assaulted of some sort and then it's just memed or mocked about. I don't think that's cool, like the Hope thing. Like, regardless of your opinions about Hope Solo and as a soccer player or viewpoints, I think when a woman comes out and says that she was assaulted by somebody, I think it should be taken very seriously. And I don't think it was like a funny thing or like a clout grabbing thing. That's not cool. Like, no matter what, it deserves thorough investigation and it deserves to like be looked at in a serious light. So when people meme about it, I don't think it's right because that silences victims in the future, you know? That article is insane. There's like a really good Twitter thread too, I think, on one of those sites that like describes a lot of like if you don't want to read the whole thing, they paraphrase a lot of really
Mm.
points. There's a good Twitter thread on it too. And it's a shame to see like, you know, big advocate for like women getting their own independent sports leagues and seeing this NWSL stay around more than 3 seasons is great. I know they had some wild situation before where in 2020 they restructured the whole league, so it's like I don't know if it's now owned by USSF or it's like owned by the teams now. Like they restructured it to make it more profitable so the league can last longer. But really horrible to see that there's been a lot of women that were just in the light, especially we're coming on the cusp of everything that happened in gymnastics too. And that happened that case with the doctor there. And it's really upsetting to see that consistently in professional sports organizations and leagues that women participate in, there's people that are violating and sexually harassing them and abusing them. And I think there needs to be some kind of change that happens. I think some change that happen because you know we can't see a consistent pattern. If the pattern is being consistent, then we need to talk about doing some kind of change in order to make it so you know this can't happen anymore because it's ridiculously unacceptable.
Yeah, it is pretty awful, and I feel like with all that coming out, like the NWSL has gone through like a lot, especially recently, and it's just sad because it always takes more than one player to come out and share their experiences for there to be actually action taken upon the whoever's doing these types of things, which is not something you want to see. There shouldn't be multiple people to back someone up, you know, like if one player came out and share their experience, it should be looked at no matter what. And I don't know how a league like that or any league really can go about changing things. Like there's no real way to tell if someone's going to be doing this. Like you do a background check. This not really doesn't always mean they're going to find something, you know. Do you only hire female coaches and GMs then? Like is it going to have to take that much of a serious like drastic change for this to completely stop? But then you don't want, like, there's just so many pros and cons of what you can change, but you know, something does need to change definitely, and like action needs to be taken upon.
They were saying that it was some of the women coaches were violating players too. Like I don't know if it was like sexual assault, but like definitely there was like verbal abuse and just kind of like taking things too far, it seems like. And you know, sadly anybody can perpetuate the patriarchy, male or female.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's just unfortunate that women are just like never safe. Like you're in this environment, like you made it to this professional rank, you worked so hard, like you're surrounded by like your colleagues, and you would hope that your coach isn't just like I don't know, like just using the players as some kind of stepping stone or like whatever. Like they're actually caring for them because they know the difficulties of women in sport or like how hard they have to fight and things like that. Um, but I mean, we got like real predators in the sport, and yeah, like you said, like it's just unfortunate that it always takes more than one person to come out and say this person's violating me. It's got to be like a whole big, like I'm sure USSF paid like $5 million for this report to be done, and it takes all that when it could just be like, hey, like this guy is like doing this stuff. You know, coaches and team executives and stuff like they're responsible for the culture of the club, and obviously, like this guy, this Christie, I forgot his name at Louisville, like you're creating a culture of fear and like tyranny when you're able to violate somebody in that way and like they're not comfortable like telling right away, you know? It's just really terrible. And yeah, it just sucks that women have to go through things like that on that level in sport.
Also, they're responsible for player safety.
Yeah.
And these are like correct, these are consistent, direct violations of that. So players are obviously destroyed by a power dynamic where they don't know what to do. And then the people that are supposed to look out for them are berating them or like threatening them or making them worse. So there's no avenues for them to go to. So it's a horrible situation to be in, especially when you finally reach like the apex of the sport you play in, which is literally professional top league and TV contract soccer. Like it's absolutely disgusting.
Um, how personal can we get on here? Can we get personal or no?
Yeah.
Holly, have you ever faced any kind of creeps in your time playing soccer?
I mean, like, to be honest, they're like creeps are everywhere. I don't know if I can say I've faced it in soccer, but like whether it's a job or anything, like you've or like even at school, like you face like it's just always like authoritative figures that like think they can do these things. Even like with Hope's like example, like um just like a smack on the butt, like in sports it's a common thing, it happens, like guys do it all the time. In baseball you see it, whatever, football, but it's always taken in a different context when a male does it to a female. Like it's just, and it's simple things like that, like that's happened to me and you're like, oh okay, like you kind of brush it off. Like is it just like a, oh, like good job type of thing, or is there like some little message in there, like a different reason for why they did that? So I mean, I've definitely faced it. I think any female can say they've, because harassment can come in any form, whether it's like, even just like unwanted comments. So
What about that the school you went to, the sports like broadcasting? I would imagine the culture there was interesting. I would imagine.
yeah, so I mean, honestly, so it was a, yeah, like you said, sports broadcasting school, and there were not many females, teachers or students. I think in my year, out of a total of um 40 people, there was about 7 of us,
Mm,
including me. And I've kind of kept in contact with some people from that school, and I think ever since my year, like the numbers have just gone down.
yeah.
Not many females enrolling in the course, and there was really only 2 female teachers when I was in there. And honestly, like I can say from like teachers and like my peers, I didn't really experience anything like that, I think it's because everyone who taught there was in the industry
Oh,
or had been in the industry. And I mean, honestly, I could say it was pretty professional. Like you went there, you had a good relationship with the teachers, but it was nothing ever like that. Um, and I could say the same for my work now. I work for like a sports broadcasting company. I've never been in an uncomfortable situation. Um, I feel like that, like, unfortunately, is pretty rare. I'm sure, and like I don't doubt that further along the line I might experience something again in this like male dominated industry.
mhm.
But there just has to be outlets for people, and not to be afraid to speak up if something happens, even if it's just like one thing that you think is minor. I think it should always be brought uh like it should be brought up to someone that you trust that is in an authoritative figure, and so nothing goes silenced again. I think the same needs to happen in like professional leagues as well.
Yeah, like I'm trying to think of like solutions or like something that could happen to make some actual change, and maybe they need some kind of like independent liaison between the players and whoever, like the actual law authorities. I don't know, like someone who can like who is not connected to the league that will take these things into consideration, do their investigation, and then report to like the proper people. Because if it's I read some article with Alex Morgan, and she was talking about another player that she played with, and there were some things going on, and just natural, a player doesn't want to get cut or doesn't want to get fired or whatever. Like, so there's that pressure of like, okay, if I say something like I'm not gonna play or I'm not gonna or they're gonna cut me or whatever. Like it's professional sports is your every day is not guaranteed. So if the players might be afraid to say something to the general manager or the owner of the team, if there's someone independent who can maybe like keep things anonymous or whatever until like it's time to get rid of this person. I don't know. Maybe that could work.
I think so too. And if they work directly coinciding with the NWSLPA, the Players Association, which is their recognized union, if you could have like the union work directly with the liaison office where like they could be an independent body to review some of the claims that a player can go to their union and the union rep or the representative within the union can talk to this person. It could keep it like, I think it could be a not obviously 100% prevent it, but create a much safer environment and create a better way for where the female players don't feel as if they have to worry about overpowering dynamics, everything because they're protected with like those having those both those parties as their backs. And obviously player unions are only as powerful as the league is, and NWSL is not a very powerful big league in America, and that's only going to mean that the people at the top are, obviously have much more resources and money than the players and the medium. So it can be tough, and
Yeah,
if they can strengthen it, be cool like that too. But I think ladies will be great.
yeah. I
Mhm.
wonder like how comfortable the women are with like going to the union because I don't know, but
It
like
depends how good that union is. I don't know
yeah,
what their union's
or,
like.
or if the union is like bringing those things up to the players themselves, like, hey,
Mhm.
if there's some creeps around, like let us know, we'll take care of it.
Yeah,
Because it almost seems unfortunate that it had to go to this whole report for something to be done
that's what I'm saying.
or
I'm
to
like, you have
like
a
be
union.
known.
It's
Like,
shocking it had to go this far. You couldn't have an internal situation at all. Hmm.
or just be like, yeah, like whenever it happens, like, yeah, hey, union, like this dude is like doing some crazy shit over here. You need to get
You
him out of
should
here.
be blasting people online. That'd be great. Just posting
Yeah.
stuff like, yo, like, damn, that'd be intense.
Yeah, and honestly, I mean, it's not like I'm up on everything happening in the NWSL.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not paying attention to it that much to know. But like, I mean, I see some people on Twitter talking about it. But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know if like an independent person connected to like each team or the league itself can do something because yeah, these especially in American sports, like it's all about greed, you know, like it's
Yeah.
really greedy. And these people are like in these top executive positions, like they're just concerned about making a dollar usually. We already know the USSF mafia is literally the worst. See, you gotta go. You're looking around and shit. What the hell? Just go. Just go. Just do that.
Hey,
Just
love you
turn.
guys. I
Yeah.
love you guys. I gotta go. I love you guys.
All right.
All
Stay safe.
right.
Stay safe on the beach there.
Sit-
Hey, hero.
Hero.
Love you guys.
How'd
I'll
you
see
swim? How'd you walk on the water?
Yeah. Hey, well, you asked a lot of questions.
Hero of heaven.
Yup, the legend on Apex.
All right,
I'll
man.
see you guys.
Yeah, we're
See
gonna
ya.
talk about you now.
Okay, I'm down. I'm gonna listen.
But no, I don't know. What do you think, Holly? Like, do you feel like an independent kind of like? Do you think that could make some change? Because I don't know. We need answers, kind of.
I think it's a start.
Yeah.
Because yeah, like I honestly can't really think of any other sort of solution that is logical and that would make sense for things to change. But yeah, if they had some sort of like it took so much to get to, like, it went so far to get to where we are now. Like, so many players had to come out. And it felt like it was just like a domino effect. Like, and that's usually how it is, because someone speaks up and then other people feel brave enough. But like, there needs to be, like, something needs to happen a lot sooner. And if they had someone to talk to, like some sort of rep, then I think it would be a lot easier for the players and for the league to deal with these types of situations.
Yeah, like somebody compassionate. I feel like I'm thinking about like and like I'm sure they do it in the NBA, but I know for sure in the NFL, like there'll be like a rookie symposium and they're telling them, this is what to watch out for and this is what you need to be doing with your money and whatever. I feel like when you're talking about women's professional sports, like there needs to be like, hey, if there are some creeps in the training or the coaches, this is who you talk to, and we'll take it serious. If it happens one time, you feel uncomfortable, this is the person you need to talk to,
Mhm.
and do that away from the coaches and the staff and the trainers and the executives. Like those players need to feel empowered and comfortable with speaking about these things. There's a part of me that's just like, are they taking the steps? Were they taking the steps before? Because these are adults, like too. Maybe somebody's like, oh, like they should know already. Like maybe somebody has that mentality, but yeah, I feel like, yeah, they're adult professionals, so they want to keep their job. So that's even more reason to let them know, like, you shouldn't just be putting up with anything because you want to keep your job.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, like, we're talking about a professional sports league, so like not only is it uh these players' job, it's also their like number one passion. And like
Yeah,
I've heard so many players come out and say that like stuff like this like completely drains them of that passion, because not now you're either afraid, uncomfortable, or just like numb to now playing the sport because of other things that are happening off the pitch. So like I'm sure coaches go through some sort of sexual conduct or misconduct course, or have to sign some sort of paper like you do at like jobs and stuff. But like that, at the end of the day, those don't mean anything. Like that's not enough. And I feel like leagues are like, oh, we had this course for the coaches and the staff. Like that's, but like then that's not really going to do anything. People are still going to do what they intend on doing, because I do
yeah,
think it's just obviously intentional
yeah,
and they know what they're doing. So
yeah. And they're going to do what they feel like they can get away with, and I'm sure that they look for the weak player, like the person that's like they think won't tell. And Yeah, I mean, hopefully there's a purge of these, really toxic people. And hopefully it doesn't end up being like, well, we had to do this thing so we can't play next year, or like hopefully the players aren't punished for speaking out. Um, I mean, this is a bit off topic, but I remember like kind of in the height of the Me Too movement, like you'll hear these idiot dudes being like, yeah, I'm not even gonna give a woman a hug no more. Like, I'm not even gonna like say her outfit's nice. It's like, dude, like really? Like that's what you got from all this?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
people were talking about being sexually assaulted. You got like, I'm not gonna give somebody a hug. Like you sound guilty. You sound like you did something to somebody before. And you don't want to get even closer. Like, I don't know, dude, but like
yeah.
like hopefully what happens is these women are able to continue playing in a more comfortable environment and they don't get any kind of like punishment by whoever heads NWSL actually.
Hmm.
But sadly, abuse in soccer is rampant. We talked about there's been multiple teams come out with like abuse scandals at academies. Um, And yeah, it's been wild and big teams too. And they had a whole hotline in England, like if you were abusing your academy, like call this hotline. Like, and it was like going crazy. Um, so yeah, we need less
Wow.
creeps in sports. But well, going from that to